Hello and welcome to week 1 of the Denim and Lace Quilt Along. My name is Amanda and I am the designer of the pattern. So we are going to be making denim and lace. It is my newest pattern and it has been a long time coming. So this pattern was designed in 2020 and it is using mostly beginner techniques. It would be a challenge as a first quilt, but it's totally doable. And if you have made a quilt before, this is going to be super easy. The techniques that we are going to use involve making half square triangles and making sure that they have pointy points, and then just basically cutting strips and sewing them together and then cutting them apart and sewing them together. Just exactly what quilting is in our era. So what we are going to do is we are going to first choose our fabric. So if you got the kit from me, you do not have to do this. I did it for you. And you're going to see that there are shades of this nice denim blue, like all the different shades of jeans in your closet. And then we've got a good low volume group that should have enough contrast in it that it stands on its own, and you can definitely differentiate the different prints in the patchwork. So we want to make sure we don't go too light, too dark. We want a good contrast with our focal color and also good contrast between the low volumes. So what we are going to do, I'm actually not going to cut this kit up. It is going to travel to one of you guys. So it's just going to be my little prop here for today. We are actually going to use this fabric for my next project. And what we are going to do is I'm going to show you how I cut fabric. So I actually cut what I needed from that. So we're going to use these little ones right here. I do not cut one print at a time. Cutting is not my favorite part. I want to move through it as quickly as possible, and so I cut generally 8 to 12 at a time, depending on how busy I am. So what I do is I unfold my fabric, and I always have the selvage edge closest to me. You can press this. If you press it before you're going to cut it, do not use steam. Steam will distort your fabric, and you will end up with like a parallelogram, and you won't be able to get the strips that you need if you do it. If you press it, also remember that you're not pressing and pushing. See how you can see the fabric stretch just from my hand. So when it's hot and there's steam, you can totally accidentally stretch your fabric, okay? But if you just push and lift and push and lift and push and lift, you can press it nice and flat. So I have the selvage edge closest to me, and then I will layer a couple more prints on top. So another one with the selvage edge closest to me. And then I'm going to line up these edges on the left. So I line up the bottom and the left side, and generally everything else comes into focus if I do that. Okay, and then this one has a really big selvage. This is why I cut my selvages when I cut them off at about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So we're going to smooth that out. I have never had a problem with the wrinkles like causing issues with my quilting. So I have stopped pressing. I'm a bit of a lazy quilter that way. So let's see, we're gonna put it right here. And this one has a bit of a wonky edge on this side, so it's actually overhanging quite a bit. So I'm gonna line up here on the bottom left, knowing that that is where the rest of the prints are. So now, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. You want to make sure that you protect your fingers whenever you're cutting your rotary cutter. This is a weird cut because I'm cutting this direction, and I'm cutting at 1 1/4 inches across. Yeah, just like that. So make sure your fingers and thumb are out of the way, and that your board is secure, your cutting board, cutting ruler, and you just cut that selvage off and toss it over there. Now I'm going to straighten up this edge, this left edge. If you are a left-handed quilter, you will be doing all of this backwards if I'm thinking properly. We had a left-handed girl help us for a long time, and she cut everything the opposite of how I cut. So anytime I say left, just say right. So we're gonna lay it here. When I have the opportunity, what I do here is I have these 3 fingers on the cutting ruler, these 2 fingers on the cutting mat. This stabilizes my ruler so it's not going to slip and slide so much, and it makes sure my thumb is out of the way. Okay, so we've got it way over here, and we're just going to cut this edge off. Okay, now it should be all nice and straight. And we will cut our strips. So again, 3 fingers on the ruler, 2 fingers off the ruler. Stabilize it so that it doesn't wobble, and cut. Make sure your ruler doesn't go too far over the mat. If it bumps the granite or whatever thing you're working on, if the thing is not a cutting mat, you will end up with a dull blade. And then I am going to break a little rule right here, and I'm just going to cut that apart. Okay. So now I have cut a set of strips, and I'll just go on and continue to do that. The other tool that I recommend this 8.5 by 24.5 inch ruler. I recommend it every time I do cutting. It's by far my most used ruler. And then I recommend my Block Lock 6.5 inch ruler for this particular quilt. It will really, really help with those half square triangles. If you have a method that you like, go ahead and use it. But what we want is we want really great points, as many points as we can get. So not every point has to be perfect. My rule of thumb is if you don't notice it from a galloping horse, then it's fine. So grab your rulers, grab your rotary cutter, grab your fabric and your pattern. And it does have a cutting diagram right there on the inside. And always do the longest cut first. So that is the order in which you should cut. Longest cut, second longest cut, and then just keep going from there. Okay, so that way you don't accidentally cut something that shouldn't be cut. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to me. I am happy to walk you through things, especially if something doesn't seem to quite make sense. So let's get started, and I can't wait to make another quilt with you guys. See you guys.